this vertebra here, that is your first cervical vertebra. We're going to give emphasis on like the specific vertebrae which are highly modified, and then we'll go back to the major important features of the rest of the vertebrae. Okay, so that is your atlas, which is first cervical vertebra, the cranial end, the caudal end. Then we have the alar notches, both of them. We have the lateral foramen, one on each side. Okay, and then we have the transverse foramen here and here. Okay, now what is the difference between the lateral and transverse foramen? Pardon me? Yeah. Through the lateral foramen you have the nerves passing through. The transverse foramen you have the blood vessels passing through. Okay, so we have the transverse foramen as well as lateral foramen, and both of them are present here. The wing of the atlas, then dorsal aspect, ventral aspect. They give specific areas for, like the dens would be resting on the ventral surface there. Okay, this bone and the skull are not from the same animal, so they do not really match each other. That's why like we see the difference here. Otherwise, they should be fitting into each other very well. Okay. Okay, so what other features you see here? The cranial deep articular fovea or articular facet for the occipital condyles, and the caudal little bit shallower articular area for the articulation with cranial articular surface of the dens. Okay, so the dens is going to fit like this. And as a dens fits like this, we have the moments like these are present at this joint. What joint is this? That is your atlantoaxial joint, which is classified as a trochoid joint, which has moments around the long axis of the joint. No, trochoid, T-R-O-C-O-I-D, trochoid, okay, trochoid joint. So trochoid, or it's also called pivot, P-I-V-O-T, or pivot joint. So these are like two different names for the same one. Okay? But the major important thing is moments are along the or around the long axis, and that's why we call that no joint. Okay, now let's look at the next cervical vertebra, that is the axis. The cranial end, the caudal end. The body of the vertebra. Now, at the caudal part, the body comes back to normal structure, which has like considerable rounded body, but in front, it does not show that rounded body. Instead, it shows two articular areas for articulation with the atlas, and then a dens, which is also called odontoid process, which projects forward and it goes through the atlas. There are ligaments which are present between the odontoid process and the base of the occipital bone, or basic occipital bone right here. Those are going to connect these two bones to each other, and in between you have then the atlas. And so both of these joints are stabilized by these ligaments, like the apical ligament and alar ligaments, or alar ligaments. Those are present from the dens to the base of the occipital bone. Okay. Okay, what other parts you identify there? Let's look at this one, the foramina, which is present here. What foramina is that? Okay. That is again transverse foramen. On both sides, foramina. On one side, transverse foramen, what passes through? The vertebral artery is going to pass through. Okay. This is for the blood vessels, not for the nerves. The foramina for the nerve is only present in the atlas as well as in the sacrum. Okay? Because there are no intervertebral foramina between atlas and the skull, as well as between the sacral vertebrae, because they are fused to each other. Okay? Okay, so the dens, the articular area, the spinous process, which is elongated ridge-like structure. Okay? The caudal area, it shows the caudal articular surface of the body, as well as caudal articular processes on both sides. Caudal articular process, caudal articular process. And that is the articular area for each of that articular process. Now in the book, they indicate those as articular surfaces, but remember those are articular surfaces of the articular processes. So each articular process has articular surface which is going to articulate with the following articular process. Okay, so these are the articular processes and these are the articular surfaces of the process. Okay, what foramina or what foramen is this? the foramen which the probe is passing through. This foramina is in this bone as well as the same one in this bone. What foramina are those? These are vertebral foramina. The space formed by the arch of the vertebra is the vertebral foramen, and when you collect all the vertebral foramen, which forms a canal, that is the neural canal. So that string is passing through the neural canal, okay, which is combination of all the vertebral foramen or foramina in the vertebral canal. Okay, what about this structure, this one and this one? No. Okay. Why? Those are not mammary processes. These are simply transverse processes of the cervical vertebra or axis. Okay. Transverse process, transverse process, transverse process, transverse process. Okay, the cervical vertebrae are not going to show any mammillary or accessory processes. They actually start from the thoracic vertebrae onward. Or even thoracic vertebrae, the accessory processes are present only in the caudal ones. The cranial one only show smaller mammillary processes. Okay, so other parts, the caudal articular area is concave. As we're now going to look at next cervical vertebra, we can now look at the cranial and caudal articular surfaces of the body. The cranial articular surface of the body is convex, while the caudal articular surface of the body is concave. In this view, that's the cranial end of the vertebra, that's the caudal end of the vertebra. The transverse processes, the cranial articular process with its articular surface right here, the caudal articular process with its articular surface right here. Okay, let me show you. And one which is convex is identified as cranial articular surface of the body. Okay, then let's leave that one and move to the next one. The rest of the cervical vertebrae, they're going to gradually change their shape. The spinous processes are going to become taller and taller. And finally, to the sixth cervical vertebra, we have not tallest but much taller spinous process. The seventh one has the tallest one. But now, what is the modified part? What is the major part which is modified here? The transverse process has some lamina on the ventral aspect. And we compare that with the sled. The picture of the sled was used to compare this structure. It's actually hip. And so that specific thing is to identify the six cervical vertebra even in your radiograph. Okay, so these are that is the modified transverse process. What structure is that? Or what structure is that? Transverse foramen. Okay. What about this one here and this one here? This one and this one. Yeah, that is the caudal articular process with the articular surface. That's the cranial articular process with the articular surface.
Didn't you say the cranial was concave?
Okay, now
No.
regarding the body. The body cranial is convex, caudal is concave. Okay? So first of all, when you identify this, if you want to identify the specific parts, first of all make sure you identify the cranial and caudal end of the vertebra. The caudal end is concave, while the cranial end is the convex. Okay? Okay, now let's move to the next type of the vertebra, that is the thoracic vertebra. Now here, something which is important. The transverse processes are modified. Those are almost absent, but they are modified, or those are transformed into articular facets for ribs. But what part of the rib? These are for the tubercles of the rib. And also, the body of the vertebra is going to show two fovea or two foveae, the cranial articular fovea and the caudal articular fovea. When I put both of these thoracic vertebrae together, the cranial articular fovea of this vertebra and the caudal articular fovea of the preceding one, they form articular area for the head of the rib. Okay? So if this is, let's say what thoracic vertebra is that. Okay? So that is your last cervical, first, second, third. Okay? So that is third thoracic vertebra and that is second thoracic vertebra. So what number rib is going to articulate, or tubercle of what rib is going to articulate here? Okay? That is thoracic vertebra number 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 is here. And we're talking about this articular facet. That's going to be 3. Okay? Rib number 3 is, or the tubercle of the rib number 3 is articulating here, while head of the rib number 3 is articulating here to both thoracic vertebra number 3 and 2. Okay? So that's the caudal articular fovea, and that is the cranial articular fovea of the body of the vertebra. Okay? Okay, let's look at other parts of the vertebra, thoracic vertebra. What structure is that? Okay? Let's see if that fits into the next one. Okay? What structure is this? Cranial articular process, and then it also shows the articular surface of that. Okay. What about this? The transverse process, which is almost like completely modified. Okay. What about this one? Yeah, caudal articular process and the surface of the caudal articular process. Okay. What about this? Spinous process.